smoke-free day in the valley for now. I'm delighted to welcome you all. I'm Kevin Burke, chair of the Greenway Conservancy, and also thrilled to my partner in crime, Meg Downey, say a quick hello.
I want to welcome you as well, Meg Downey. I'm chair of the Hudson River Valley Greenway Communities Council, and it's great to see you. We have some new members today, which you'll hear about in a second, which we're always happy to have. So welcome.
Okay, so let's call the meeting to order. And my first order of business is a delight. I'm here to just introduce briefly Bill Harris, who's the new director of the FDR Library. Excuse me? Oh, I'm sorry. Pledge. How could I forget Barney? Barney the Kennedy. Okay. Yes. Pledge of allegiance, everybody. Here's the flag. Yep. Okay. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Scott, for reminding me. Again, Barney with me. Anyway, it's my delight to introduce Bill Harris, new director of the FDR Library. We are just so thrilled to be working with Bill. He's brought so much passion, energy, curiosity to the role. And what a wonderful way to start your tenure here. We have a new exhibit that he's going to tell you a little bit about that is just a landmark. So without further ado, Bill Harris.
I'll just look around over here. Some way.
You can get it.
Thanks. Thanks, Kevin and Meg. Thank you very much. It's a real pleasure to be here this morning. And it's so great, again, as I say, I'll probably say this for 3 years, to have people here and to have the site active and to have community organizations back on site is a wonderful thing. And I'm so glad that we're able to have you all here too, because I think that as we think about the physical environment around us and preserving, protecting that here in the Hudson Valley. And I think about our work at the library and the Park Service's work here. We're all stewards of these places in our own, and we're all working towards the same goal, which is to ensure that in the future we have these resources for people to enjoy. And just as the fundamental responsibility to maintain, keep, and advance the world that we live in. And Kevin mentioned the exhibit. I think that it's Black American Civil Rights and the Roosevelts, 1932 to 1962. And it centers the experience, not so much on the Roosevelts themselves, but on the Black Americans who, in fact, were fighting for and advocating for a rightful place in society. And I was just speaking with people yesterday about that and thinking what a patriotic story that is, actually. People fighting to become part of the system, to be within the system. For their right to vote and to participate. And as we say, the Pledge of Allegiance, that's a fairly remarkable thing. And I think that's a wonderful story. And too often we tell those stories in reverse, from the people, the impacts of power on the people instead of the people on sources of power, which fundamentally is what this nation is about. So I encourage all of you to come over and take a look at the exhibit. We view that here at the library, like I'm sure you view your work. Not as, something that we check boxes and something that we feel proud of, but as a fundamental duty and responsibility as a public institution. The National Archives and this library are committed, like you are again, to your work, to ensuring that everyone's experience and everyone's opportunities in our piece of this big puzzle that is our nation are respected and are represented. So I'm so glad again that you're here and welcome you. And I hope you have a very good series of meetings. I know what it's like to sit around. I do this 4 times a year with the Roosevelt Institute as well, and twice with the trustees. So yeah, so do 6 meetings a year. It's always fun. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you, Bill. Yes, right. I just want to say a quick word. I had a chance to, and I'm really honored to be on the scholarly advisory committee for this new exhibition. And they convened the best historians in the country on it. And it was a multi-year effort. And it's wonderful to see it coming to life. And I think a lot of people grew up thinking that the civil rights movement began in the 50s with Rosa Parks and Dr. King. this exhibition shows that it was a long civil rights movement, and the generation before that really laid the groundwork during the period of the New Deal and afterwards. So it's a very, very important, I think, a landmark exhibit that everyone should go to see. So with that, let's do introductions. We already had a chance to say a quick hello. Why don't we start here? Just introduce yourself and say hello.
Good morning, my name is Kamala Winter. I'm the Commissioner of the New York State Department of Agriculture.
Hello, I'm Johanna Moore. I'm the Orange County historian.
Hi, I'm in the bottom of Hi, I'm Kristen Brown, Greenway Conservancy. Jane Daniels, Governor,
Cindy Lanzetta, Conservancy member.
Carla.
Thank you, Carla Castillo, Hudson Valley Regional Council. Mike Thorough, Regional Director of the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation. Judy Williams from Saratoga County.
morning, Mary McNamara, representing Ulster County.
Stefan Yarbeck, voting member of the Conservancy, also chairman of the Town Historic Preservation Commission. Good news that the Asbury District is not only state, federal, and now local landmark to protect that 17th century history. And I want to say in terms of history, Saugerties, Squire, and today is Champagne. The history name is synonymous with Saugerties. And as also a special day, Flag Day. And I have to say, let all flags fly for Slavic family.
Secretary. Formerly. Good morning, Jennifer Curl, I'm the Executive Director of Boston Hudson Gardens, one of the world's most beautiful places in Garrison, and also the Putnam County representative. I'm Beth and the Greenway staff team.
I'm Chris Eakes, New York State Assembly member.
And I'm Scott Keller, Executive Director. We're now going to go to the folks on the Zoom call, and I'm going to ask you to unmute and identify yourself and state your organization and board if you have an organization. And I'm just going to go down the list as it appears on my screen at the moment, starting with Skip Piscatelli.
Skip Piscatelli, Community Council member, City of New York.
Matthew Schneid.
Hi, Matthew Schneid, Community Council member, New York County.
Sarah Eidelman.
I'm president of Hudson Crossing Park in Schuylerville. It's a bi-county park on the Hudson River. And I live in Greenwich.
Lisa DeGroff. We can't hear Lisa. Assemblyman Beepin.
Good morning, Assemblyman AJ Beepin here. Thank you all for having me, and I have a representative there, Sean Hammond, and I look forward to working with you all.
Melissa Pearson Strain.
Hi, Melissa Pearson Strain with the Division of the Budget.
Betsy Jacks.
Hi, this is Betsy Jacks of the Thomas Cole National Historic Site and Vice Chair of the Greenway Council.
Emily Matura.
Hi, Emily Matera with the Division of Budget.
Lance McMillan.
Good morning, everybody. Lance McMillan, Regional Director for DOT here in the Hudson Valley, representing our Commissioner Marie-Therese Dominguez.
And Vincent Altieri.
Hi, Vincent Altieri for the Rockland County Executive's Office.
And I have someone on the phone with the phone number ending in 712. You'll have to unmute yourself. Right. I guess not. Why don't we start with you?
Okay,
And you can
sure.
Okay, well, as you saw, you might have seen a new face in those introductions. I'd like to really extend a warm welcome to a new member of the Greenway Council, and that's Assemblymember Christopher Ekus, right here on my right, who represents the 99th Assembly District, which is composed of parts of Orange and Rockland counties, and he was appointed by Assembly Speaker Carl Hastie. Chris Ekus has a long history in the Hudson Valley. He taught AP Science and Math courses for 40 years, retiring in 2015 from the Newburgh Free Academy.
Yay.
Another graduate.
We're alumni right here.
And he served for 12 years as an Orange County legislator and has been a top leader with the Sons of the American Legion and the District Boy Scouts of America, among many other organizations. And in the Assembly, he serves on the committees for aging, higher education, local governments, mental health, and veterans affairs. And his full biography is in your packet. And we really appreciate your being here. So welcome to the council. Thank you. You want to say something?
Thank you. I will be brief. The first thing I'd like to say is this whole concept is very near and dear to me. As a matter of fact, when I was first elected to the Orange County Legislature, they really thought they were electing a tree hugger to the legislature. I proved to be a little more than that at this point in time, but I have been affiliated with the Quisay Creek, which is now the Quisay Creek Watershed. It was actually the Quisay Creek Trail at one point in time. And I've also been with the Moodna Watershed. So I have tried all these years to work to keep the Hudson River beautiful and exactly what we want it to be. I see that my fellow assemblyman, AJ, as we call him, on the floor, he and I sit right next to each other, basically. We've already worked together. So I'm very proud that he's my partner, I'm his partner, and we will definitely do what we can for the Greenway. So again, thank you very much. And I hope that we have even more success than what we've had in the past. So thank you.
I'm also happy to know, as Stefan mentioned earlier, that Senator Michelle Hinchy is going to be appointed to the Conservancy by the Senate Majority Leader. And I had the pleasure of working with her on the Tower of Victory effort in Newburgh, and she has passion, dedication, and as you said, represents a great family tradition in our valley. And when I learned this news, I was just so thrilled. It's wonderful to be able to know that she's going to be joining us. So that's great news for all of us. And I think for that, we're going to turn to our presentation. Scott?
Thank you, Kevin. More than 2 years ago, we began a project to create a trail map for our Greenway website. The initial plan was for static maps of all designated land trails only on county-based maps, as we've done in the past. But as the EST website map came into being, we were able to change our plan and switch to an interactive map that includes both our land and water trails, segments and sites. Here to tell you about the process and show you the results are the two people who did most of the work on this project. Cody Urana, who did the decidedly less fun but critical data truthing part, and Dan Jeanson, who took the data and put together the map using our ArcGIS program. Cody will lead us off.
Good morning, everyone. As Scott mentioned, my name is Cody Arana. I'm going to briefly discuss the handling of data that led to the creation of the new online Greenway Trail System map.
So when I started with this project, I started with a spreadsheet with about 17,000 records, which included all the designated trails in the Hudson Valley, as well as almost all of state parks and DEC's managed trails throughout the state. As I began reviewing the data and I was sifting through everything and just trying to focus on the Hudson Valley data, I realized how inefficient that was. So then at that point, I wanted to work with the consultant to remove all the data that wasn't in the 14 counties within the Greenway. Our consultant was from the West Coast, so her knowledge on the area was not a lot. So I realized that I had to go through each and every record and list whether it had to be deleted or not. And I don't know if you've ever seen DE and parks data, but it's a lot. And it's very segmented out. So at that point, I was really able to start reviewing the trails. So I was searching for things like what trails had to be removed because they didn't exist anymore, or because they weren't designated anymore for whatever reason. Also, there was a lot of duplicate data that had to be removed. I was searching for trails we had listed as designated, but were not in the attribute table. So we didn't have any data for them, which means I had to go and find the data. And in any case where we had parks or DEC data, we used their data to replace our data to make sure that it was more accurate. There was previous Greenway interns working on this project many years ago before me. Not specifically this project, but updating the county maps that we had previously. I found a lot of data for trails that were just a dot or just a random line, not even in the location that I had to be. So that, I had to do some outreach to figure out where I was going to get this data from. I was also looking for inconsistency in trail names because, as we all know, names of trails change over time and everybody calls the same trail something else. I was also looking for surface types. On the designation forms that we have that go back to the 90s, that has a surface type of the trail. Some of them were already listed on the spreadsheet and some weren't. So if it wasn't there, I had to figure out what the surface was. And if it was already there, I had to actually ensure that that was actually the surface type by going back to the designation form. And the trail outreach. So I was reaching out to a number of organizations and municipalities to get KML files or shape files that would work with GIS. One of them was Roosevelt Vanderbilt National Historic Site, and they were very easy to work with. They had all their data, and I was able to get the Valkill Trail that we didn't have. But municipalities, even though they had a map on their website, they didn't necessarily have the data for that trail. So that was interesting. They probably did, they just didn't know. And after a number of drafts, submitting the data to the consultant and then the consultant putting it on the online mapper that we were working with, and some mistakes along the way, we finally got somewhere where we were comfortable with the data. And thank you for listening, and that's all I have. Now I'm going to introduce Daniel Jensen, who's going to discuss the creation of the Greenway Trail System map using GIS.
Hey, thanks, Cody. So Cody had the fun task, spent months and months sorting through the data. I had the more fun task of using GIS, which any other members of staff know that I always dread going into GIS. It was my least favorite course in grad school. So I was dreading it for several months, and then I was asked to do this map, and found out that our state license included an upgrade to GIS's newest suite of programs and access to ARC online, which is where I created the map. It came together pretty quickly over the course of a week. And I guess I can just go right in and show it. Yeah. But mainly what I was doing, Cody had already cleaned up most of the data. All I had to do was go in and basically pick which icons I wanted to use for the points and pick the fonts, and it was pretty easy if it loads. And GIS has a suite of these are called apps. So you punch in all the data, and basically you design the map to look like whatever you want it to look like. We got to have this disclaimer on the front. And what we ended up with was this, which is two sets of data. We have the water trail sites, which are points. And if I could load one. Yeah. At home, these load a lot faster, trust me. We won't knock the host's Wi-Fi. There we go. I'll show one that loads all the fun stuff. So for the walk trail, you have, we have the site name. We have details below. It lists where it is, what type of site type it has, services that are there. And also every one of these has the tide conditions that you click on and it brings you to a separate website, tells you what, where they are at in the cycle. No. They'll take your word. I want to move this up. And then for the land trail, these are just lines. The only thing that we've loaded in for these are the name of the trail and the service type. If one of those loads up, there you go. But this will allow us later on, we could put in other attributes we wanted if we see fit. But for now, this is what we have. And we tell people that, especially for the land trail, this is not for navigational purposes. This is pretty illustrative purposes only. I'm thinking a lot of the people who will be using this will be municipalities who are applying for trail grants, and they want to know, where our trail is because it's one of the criteria for the scoring guideline. So that was pretty it. This came together pretty quickly. And I had told Scott about this on a Friday afternoon and he's like, okay, take the weekend and we'll talk about it on Monday. And I was feeling ambitious and sent him a couple options and we had it launched by 5 o'clock that day. So, yeah. So if anybody has any questions, thoughts, comments, yeah.
We had it launched the day before National Trails Day. So we put a press release out on National Trails Day.
But I'm wondering what constitutes a quote unquote designated trail in the form? How does that process work?
So all the designated trails have to be requested by all of the trail. Yeah, Trails Guru, please.
Yeah, so I'm actually going to have a trail today, but if a trail manager or wishes to be included as part of the system, they fill out a designation nomination form. Some of the information is specific, what are the hours, how is it managed. So we have information. We asked for map, and as Cody mentioned, different places have different levels of capability for mapping. But just so we have an idea of burden. And then they need to have like a letter of support or at least some acknowledgement from if there are different ones. Many times trails with one, sometimes there are additional. And so they send it into the Greenway, evaluate it, staff some a site visit if we deem it necessary, and then we present that information to the board that this want to become an agreement community. This crowd would like to be part of the Greenway trust and more votes to not at board meeting, and then there will be shown our maps, and there are some there's a competitive trail grant program for being designated. And some of our partner agencies have included priority or designated trails and projects that for that grants. So it does raise the profile from above the trail and it gives them some competitive advantage.
Yeah, thanks, Beth. Yeah. Yeah, something to think about.
Okay. But.
Yeah, I'm thinking about what Beth, we do for the Bramble, where we put the Metro North stops. Yeah.
Public transportation, during the trail. So we probably used to find a regulations.
Our vendor was not able to get all that stuff into the GIS layers in the way that we'd hoped. So we'll look to update this in the future, but we're going to have to get a different vendor and one much closer to us than one that recently closed their office and left the state. Yeah, please use the microphone because the Zoom people can't hear you.
Okay, sorry about that. If you have it on the designation sheet or through the random, I think the reason for you to pull it up and just put it in a word that you have some information about the trail.
It's actually not that easy because you have to create an Excel spreadsheet and transfer all that data in for every single segment. And the first goal we're trying to get to, some of the segment pieces that we have are as short as half a foot. So we're going to try to get each trail into one segment first, and then we're going to do that. But we wanted to get this up and have it usable for people for this season.
You should contact me or my husband to get stuff for Westminster County and there's some of the information to sell companies. Like the new things that we're adding, and new from the rare is that I hope you're able to add all of the things that we're like. And you're not having that consultant because
Yeah, we will. We currently have over 1,100 miles of trails between the water trail, the land trail, and Bike Route 9. So, which includes the Empire State Trail that goes from Manhattan to Whitehall.
And another thing is also one of the public transit also.
That gets a lot harder because we don't have that information with point data. So, as we said, this is not for navigational purposes. And we do, the disclaimer that pops up says, find the trail, go to the local trail manager, and they will have that information. Yes.
I just want to say this is really wonderful, and I appreciate all the work that went into it. Social media is a way to spread this information. I know a lot of my friends don't quite understand that. They like something and that's where it ends. So I would encourage everybody here to, if they're on Facebook or some of the other platforms, to engage in spreading this around. I know I go onto a number of hiking groups and I send it out and people are reacting very positively to it.
We actually had we have an advertising firm that we use, and we had they sent out a post, I think on the Monday after we launched this, that was pretty favorably received also.
If there's going to be somewhere on the trail that links with all of the trails that exist in the region, but I'm thinking that when I like finding trails to hunt on, and I find that I'm having to go to a number of different locations. So is this just going to be the designated trails, or there will be different owners or other trails that people can connect to when they're in one of the trails locations?
This is just for our designated trails. We don't have the information on trails that aren't designated. We have no information on them. Wind?
Just imagine, if you will, that I'm in a kayak in the Hudson, and that was unlikely. And the storm, and I'm being worried about getting into harbor refuge. How do I get this information? Do I have to have an iPhone? If I had one, what happens if I drop it overboard? There is not going to be a printed version of this, I think.
Not of this. We do have water trail maps. We have a water trail guidebook, and you can download a GPX file, which is something you can put into your GPS that shows that we'll put the entire water trail in there. So we do have that for the water trail. Anybody else? Oh,
I know we're a little over time, but I want to reiterate, thank you for doing this. Really wonderful and helpful, and especially for the water trails, it seems like a great positive step forward.
that we've had for 7 or 8 years. We just added it to this to show all our trails together, but we have a separate water trail site. Hudson River Greenway watertrail.org. And that has not only a map that you can find this information, but it also has a list of sites that you can sort alphabetically or by north to south or south to north. So you can see where you're at and go from there and see what the next site is.
Okay, thank you for doing that.
All right. And thank you, Dan and Cody.
I was just thinking that I remember it must be 10 or more years ago, we had a brainstorm at Belfield with the board members at the time about what big initiatives we wanted to undertake as a Greenway. And I remember the consensus of the group ultimately was finish the trail. And to see this, come together both with the work on the Empire State Trail, but now visually on a website, we did it. It's a really amazing accomplishment. And
I quit.
You can quit, Scott. But well done. I mean, well done, really. That's fantastic. We're here. Okay, moving forward, this is the time to review our agenda as a board and also to ask for any comments on the agenda specifically. Okay, hearing none, let's approve the minutes. We last met as a board on March 8th, 2023 here in Hyde Park. And we do need to approve the minutes from that meeting. And so we'll need to call for a motion and a second from any member of either board.
I make a motion.
Wonderful. Yeah, the first. Great. The second. Great. Wonderful. All in favor, please signal by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Terrific. And now I will call the Greenway Conservancy portion of the meeting into order and turn it over to Scott, who will walk us through that agenda.
All right, we have a lot on here. Some of it is just sort of boring stuff that we have to do, and others of it are really exciting. The first thing is approval of a research and monitoring grant for the Hudson River National Estuary Research Reserve, or HRNR for short. For the past 26 years, we have managed their research and monitoring grants that they received from NOAA. We have once again been asked to manage year 27, which contains some exciting new one-time funding for equipment replacement, as well as the normal research and monitoring tasks. We are taking a slightly reduced fee this year of just over 9%. Normally we take 10%. That's due to an uncorrectable clerical error that occurred at NOAA itself. And the only way to fix that error would be to reapply for the grant, and the deadline has passed. So that's not going to work. We decided it was more important to get the equipment in place than it was for us to get every single dollar. It's an affordable cut for us. It's less than $1,400. Any question on this item? Right. The next is the designation of the Peekskill Bay Greenway trails in the city of Peekskill, Westchester County. The city of Peekskill, with the concurrence of other landowners, DJJT Brittle Line Associates, County of Westchester Industrial Development Agency, and Peekskill Industrial Development Agency, is seeking designation of a 2.82 mile waterfront trail. The entirety of this trail has direct physical access to the Hudson, so this is a great addition to our system. The trail extends from the Ansville Creek Trail at Route 9 south to John Walsh Boulevard at Lentz Cove. Any questions on that item? Excellent. Next are the Conservancy Trail Grants. We're looking to award $294,500 this time. The Grants Committee, is a note before we jump into that. The Grants Committee has decided they wish to approve their minutes at Grants Committee meetings rather than taking up time at these meetings. Recognizing that these minutes may prove helpful to board members in voting on grants, we have included the draft minutes as part of your package so you can see what the grants committee talked about. The first grant is for Columbia Land Conservancy. They are seeking and the committee recommends funding in the amount of $20,000 for planning to improve the trails at Greenport Conservation Area. The next grant is for Kingston Land Trust in Ulster County. They are seeking and the committee recommends grant funding in the amount of $130,000 to construct the Kingston Land Trust round out uplands, trails, and parking. The next grant is the town of East Fishkill in Dutchess County. They are seeking and the committee recommends grant funding in the amount of $100,000 for a junction loop trail for the Hopewell Junction Hamlet. Town of Sand Lake in Rensselaer County is seeking and the committee recommends grant funding in the amount of $15,000 to prepare a Sand Lake trail plan. The town of Yorktown, Westchester County is seeking and the committee recommends grant funding in the amount of $6,500 for new signage and kiosks on a bridge over the Taconic Parkway. They're just replacing the panels. They're continuing to use the structure of the kiosks, which are still in good shape. And yes, Jane, I know you're recusing yourself on this. Okay, Westmoreland Sanctuary, Westchester County is seeking and the grants committee recommends grant funding in the amount of $23,000 for the Raptor Ridge Trail.
Trail was proposed and they had a sign made, the sign that Rapture.
So you're saying it has a good view?
It's a really interesting trail, and I'm glad to see that they're getting some funding, but the sign seems to change.
Our next grant is another one of the AHET Trail Maintenance Grants. This is for Columbia Friends of the Electric Trail, who do almost all of the maintenance of the trail in Columbia County, with the exception of the villages of Kinderhook and Valatia. They are seeking and the committee recommends $12,500 for AHET maintenance. They always approve these grants because I tell them that if they don't approve them, they have to go do the work themselves. The next one is to adopt our budget. And this is something that we will do two separate votes at the end of this. This budget is for both boards. The total conservancy budget is 3.5 million, 2.3 million of which are finishing up projects for the Empire State Trail. Much of those are resurfacing projects. We brought the Empire State Trail in under budget, and we were able to resurface a number of projects on badly deteriorated sections of the Empire State Trail. The council budget is a total of $180,000, and the National Heritage Area budget is $505,000. The conservancy budget includes operations, trail grants, and pass-through grants for Herner, as well as the Empire State Trail. The council budget includes operation and planning and compact grants. And I want to note that thanks to our friends at Division of Budget and the Governor's Office and the legislature, we had an increase of 84% to our council grants from $136,000 to $250,000 this year. The NHA budget includes operations, heritage development grants, the Ramble, sponsorships for events, partnerships, promotional materials, the Greater Hudson Heritage Network training workshops. You saw a presentation at our last board meeting on one of those, and projects including the Universal Declaration of Human Rights projects, which we're working with ROVA, the Seven Sentinels film, which we're working on with the Hudson River Maritime Museum. It details all of the lighthouses on the remaining 7 lighthouses on the Hudson, and new projects, Voices of the Revolution, which will be an add-on to the Hudson River Train Tour app in preparation for the 250th anniversary of the Revolutionary War. And Sorry, Zoomers, the signal cut out for a minute. So going back, the last program is Inspirational Figures of the Hudson Valley, which will feature short bios and descriptions of the contributions of 20 to 25 Hudson Valley figures from Indigenous peoples to the near present. Any question on anything that I've talked about so far? All right. The next one is the bulk of your packet this time. It's adopt the annual Paris budget and financial plan. This is a required annual filing for the Public Authorities Reporting Information System. We have everything required except an audit. We're in Anna, why don't you take the host because my signal seems to be dropping. Can you do that or do I have to give it to you? Anyway, our auditor left the firm shortly after our audit was completed last year. And due to a staffing shortage, they have not been able to rectify. They will no longer be able to perform our audits. They informed us of this in mid-May. We have notified the controller's office, provided them unaudited financial statements, and are currently seeking a new auditor. So unlike in past years, what we are going to initially put on our website for the Paris report will not include an audit. I can tell you I'm confident that our audit is going to be no different than it has been in the past, which is a clean opinion with very few or generally no management items listed. But obviously I can't present you with proof of that because we haven't been audited yet. The reports that are included in this document include a mission statement and performance measures, a schedule of debt, we don't have any, a real property report, we don't have any, internal controls, a committee list, which is the executive committee, an organization chart, which shows the staffing, our bylaws, our code of ethics, our budget report, which you all approved at our last meeting, the New York State guidelines, which is provided to us by OGS and date back to 2014, an investment report, we don't have any, a lobbying policy and contact, we haven't been lobbied by anyone, nor do we lobby, and a prompt payment statement. Any questions on this item?
I just want to say that for anyone new to the Greenway, if you really want to understand the governance and the management and oversight of how this agency operates, this document could not make it more clear about the efficient and professional approach of our staff. Thank you.
Thank you, Kitty. The last item is our 2022 trail visitation report. Last year, we purchased and installed 10 eco counter units along the Greenway trail portion of the Empire State Trail. 2/3 of this trail is off-road and the remaining 1/3 is on-road. We installed the counters on the off-road portion only in 10 different locations and left them up for a year. In addition to our data, we have data from 4 other counters, including permanent counters we installed the walkway over the Hudson. These 2 counters were provided by the Greenway to state parks who now own them and have put them in with a permanent installation. Parks will be sharing the data with us annually, so we'll always have data from that site. Average use per site was 91,000 visitors, ranging from a low of 10,291 at Fort Anne in Washington County to 559,886 on a total of 1,296,496 visitors were counted. Single year data does not give us enough sample points to extrapolate usage over the entirety of the trail, but by the end of year 3 of this program, we believe we will have enough data to do so. We have Cody and Andy moved the 10 counters in November to new locations. Any questions on that item? And the visitation report is included at the end of your packet. Okay, Kevin, we need 2 votes. The first one to accept the research and monitoring grant, approve the trail designation and trail grants, and adopt the budget and Paris financials plan. This will be a conservancy only vote.
Let's do the formalities here. This is just a conservancy. I will need a motion second. Sarah, great, easy. All in favor, please move by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Terrific, thank you. And this will be the second vote,
The organization.
which is the organizational budget, and that's for both boards.
Both boards vote on this.
Okay, again, we need a motion. Any
That can be
member,
anybody.
anybody, Jennifer, you, second.
Linda?
Linda, thank you. All in favor, please move by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Great. So carried. Great, and I'll turn it over to Meg.
Okay, so I'm going to officially call the Hudson River Valley Greenway Communities Council to order. Just before Scott begins, I just wanted to do another shout out to Cody and Dan for the maps, and the program that they use for this has some limitations. So some of the ideas I think you had, particularly for consumer use, which right now it's not focused on, are good ideas, and that over time, anything like this is iterative. So I think that there are ways for us to look at how to do that. And if you ever fall in the river, I'll come with my water wings and get you out, I promise. Thanks, Scott.
I'll kayak with you. I can get you out. All right. The only items on the council agenda, which is a lot more fun than the conservancy, are grants. The first one is a compact grant for the town of Amenia in Dutchess County. They are seeking funding, and the grants committee recommends $7,500 for a land use law update. And the regular community grants. First one is for the town of North Greenbush, Rensselaer County. They are seeking funding, and the committee recommends $10,000 for a community profile and housing assessment as part of a comprehensive plan update. And the town of Westerlo in Albany County is seeking funding, and the committee recommends $10,000 in order to codify their local laws as part of a zoning code update. What they're looking to do is research all of their laws, determine if any are duplicative or in conflict, clean that up, and then present something that's online that anybody in the community can research to find out what their development laws are and all of their zoning laws. And we need a vote.
Okay, I'd like to call for a vote to approve these grants.
Council members only?
Yes, this would only be council. Okay, so we have, yep, good. All right.
Went in Mary.
Yep.
I'm saying that for so I used to take the minutes, and when you're ready, I can see him waving their hand.
Sorry.
All right, and you wanna?
Okay.
Sorry.
Sorry. So next, I'm sorry.
Oh, and
vote, yes, it would be helpful. All in favor?
But before we
No,
go, I
yes.
just wanted to say it's so excellent that Greenway is providing grants for such an important part of the communities for community health. So it's an excellent the work we're doing.
This group has been transformative, I think, in having an impact on the comprehensive plans and the zoning laws of the valley because of the grants that it's given over the last few years. It's really made a difference. So you should all be proud of that. So let's call for a vote for that. Yep. Oh, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Any opposed? Thank you. Okay.
Yeah. Hold on.
All right, I'd like to call the meeting to order, along with my co-chair of the Maurice D. Hinchy Hudson River Valley National Heritage Area, and Scott will talk about those grants.
All right, we don't have too many grants here, only a couple, but the Heritage Development grants total $13,500. First one is for Arm of the Sea Productions in Ulster County, someplace called Saugerty, Stefan. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. They're seeking, and the grants committee recommends $6,000 for a project called Water, Paper, Power, a Saugerty's Living History Project. And the next one is for Parks and Trails New York in Albany County. They're seeking $9,000 to support the New York Cycle the Hudson Valley. This will be a bicycle trip from Albany to Manhattan. The maximum permissible award for a single application for Heritage Development grants is $7,500, and that is the Grants Committee's recommendation. Any questions on these grants? Right. The update on reauthorization bill for the heritage area, this was left on by mistake. I just want to remind everybody, we are extended and our funding cap is suspended until 2037. So all we have to do is get appropriations from Congress to keep rolling.
Well done.
The Alliance of National Heritage Areas had a lot to do with it, as did our congressional delegation.
Yeah, it was a little touch and go for a while, but it came out very well. We're very fortunate. So I'd like to call for a vote to approve the National Heritage Area grants.
This is for both boards.
Yeah, so is somebody wants to call her?
Stefan and Sarah.
And Sarah, that's easy. Okay, and all in favor?
Aye.
And all opposed? Okay, so now we have Scott's report.
All right. Well, the first item of news is Shannon sent you my annual report prior to the meeting. I'm not going to go over that again here. I trust you all are capable of reading. And we'll do so if you want to. We try to keep it short so that it is readable. A couple of staff items. Andy is going to be out for the next 4 months. He departed on Monday, the 5th of June on a cross-country bicycle trip. He is pedaling across the country. His wife is following in an RV, and however far he makes it, they're going to come back in the RV together. I just want to note that as always, the terrific work of our staff. I ask a lot and they deliver. And please join me in recognizing that. I also need to note that Shannon will be going on maternity leave in mid-July and will return as a 50% employee after her maternity leave ends. Good luck and have fun. You're about to find out what it's like to be outnumbered by your kids. Before we move on to new business, I would like to ask the boards to please stay after the meeting adjourns in order to take a photo to update our board picture on our website. Most of the people who are in that picture now, or many of the people who are in that picture now that we have up are no longer on the board, and there are a lot of new people. We're going to gather right up here, and Dan's going to take a picture that we can put on our website, and that's for board members of both and delegates, obviously. It shouldn't take long, and we will not be identifying anyone by name. It's just going to be the banner at the top of it. The next thing is new business, and I know Betsy Jacks wanted to talk to you about the 10-episode PBS series on Thomas Cole's profound influence on American history. So Betsy, who is online, I hope.
Yep.
Good. Take it away. We can hear you.
Okay, great. Just briefly, WMHT, the PBS station, and as you all know, out of Albany, it has partnered with us to produce a 10-episode series on Thomas Cole, and specifically how his artwork can be looked at and interpreted to reflect contemporary culture. So in other words, how his artwork and what he did and did not include what it can tell us about our American culture today, why we are where we are. The 19th century explains a lot about the 21st century. So I can put the link into the chat here, maybe send it out to my colleagues at the Greenway to distribute some other way. But the episodes air every Saturday on the WMHT TV station, and also are archived online. So you can just go and watch them whenever. We've also put links to it from the Thomas Cole Facebook page and link in bio. So you can find them there, or you can just Google WMHT Thomas Cole. The name of their series is called Reframing an Empire. So that helps the Google search. But yeah, so they're doing 10, and then I think in the fall, they're gonna paste them all together and air a longer segment as well. So it's been great to see this figure used to reflect on our history. And I think it'll be a useful tool going forward for teachers and classrooms to engage people in a kind of a deeper discussion of American history and how it traces back to the Hudson Valley.
Okay, yeah, that is terrific. I'm really looking forward to watching it. And thank you, Betsy.
Thanks.
Did anyone else have something? Anyone on the board first?
Yeah. I just want to report on an event that I attended a couple of weeks ago. As I think all of you know, the National Heritage Area is divided into categories of services. And one of the categories that we agreed on many years ago was industrial and commercial. And there are very few sites that satisfy those requirements, I'm sorry to say. However, we're always looking for new, some of them are one that is designated, however, is the ironworks at Copiague Falls, practically in Massachusetts, in Columbia area. And it's part of the state's wonderful Taconic State Park. But it's an historic and archaeological site that was really left a molder for many, many years. And with a friends group that came into existence a few years ago, and the leadership of wonderful Edgar Masters, who lives nearby, who's been involved in the state park system for nearly 100 years now. He is chairman of the Taconic State Park Commission. Has spearheaded the restoration of the archaeological historic site, which dates back to the 1840s, 50s, and has recruited the Pomeroy Foundation to help with this. The Pomeroys, as you may know, have financed in recent years the creation of, I think, cast aluminum signs, painted signs, on application by historical societies and communities to help promote the knowledge of local history. And the Pomeroys had a particular interest in the ironworks because the man who created the ironworks, named Pomeroy, related in some fashion to the current foundation executive. And so they have largely paid for the recreation of a short line narrow gauge bit of railroad to serve in multi-interpretation of this cultural site. And I had the pleasure of taking the first ride along with very many other very happy people, some of them quite young. It's just wonderful to see in what is perhaps a bit remote from the river itself, but in our National Heritage Area, the site is where we really build attendance and build appreciation of this aspect of our valley's history. And so we're all honored to the Pomeroys, the Masters family, to the friends and supporters of the friends group there, and to state parks, who are the proud owners of this resort. Thanks.
Thank you. Is there anyone else and any board members in the room who have anything else for new business? Yes, Jeannie.
I just wanted to say to Betsy, what a remarkable, wonderful site you have. I lived in Green County 40 years ago, and I know what the Thomas Schoolhouse looked like then.
And I also had the honor of knowing a teacher. And every time I see the house, I can't help but think.
I see Skip Piscatelli has his hand up. Skip, if you want to unmute and say something.
That I might have missed it, Scott, in your report. It sounded like there was a dramatic increase in funding in the state budget for the community council grants. I thought you said up to 250.
Correct.
That's a huge increase, isn't it?
Yes, it's an 84% increase over the 136,000 we have been receiving. I approached the Division of Budget and they were receptive, Melissa and Emily, and said, send us a letter and we will try to get it in the budget, and they did. And thank you, Melissa and Emily.
Great, thank you.
Anyone else on the Zoom call that has new business? Anyone in the audience? Sure.
Hello, this is Jennifer again, and I'm pleased to report that Boston House and Gardens received last night approval from our local conservation board to move ahead with a meadow restoration. So we'll be converting nearly 2 acres of green lawn into a native meadow that will help us better tell the stories of Native American communities. We're going to prioritize the glowing plants. It's going to revitalize the stewardship of the site, the storytelling of the site, and really we think their families, multi-generational, an entire new way of experience Boscoville and Hudson Valley beauty. So we're going to be looking around from 90 for a while, and I think you all are the function, you will notice that immediately, and we're going to make sure that public communication about that is part of the education. So for a couple of years, Boscoville is going to be looking very different, and then we're going to have this new explosion of growth and vitality and vibrancy. So I encourage everybody to be patient in that process. It is a long process that requires lots of patience, and it's just been in the works for about 4 or 5 years.
Oh, congratulations. That sounds great. Anyone else? Yes.
Hi, good morning. My name is Mary Scopani. I'm the program director for Greater Hudson Network, and I'm here representing Priscilla Bradley. I believe at the last meeting she gave you an update on our project that was submitted by the board. Hudson River Valley and she area / Greenway. The agencies of collection care. At that meeting, the book had not yet been officially received by us, but I'm happy to say that it is here. It's a bill. I can hold it up, and it's a how-to guide for historic sites on how to care for all different types of collection items. It's got input by conservators on what you can do yourself and when we should call a conservator, and it features full of photos from 15 sites within the book. So.
Terrific. Thank you.
I was actually doing a lot just from reading the presentations that you made. And how can the public who have been mistakenly polishing their silver jewelry with toothpaste learn what to do and what not to do? Can the public purchase this book?
All right. So it's available as a print publication. You can purchase it on our website, greaterhudson.org, or it's available as an ebook. And for a little while, it's the #1 seller in the museum category.
And I believe you have a box for us today. And so each of you are going to get one today. So that's how you can purchase one. We already made a donation. We made a $30,000 donation. You get a book. Anyone else? All right. Upcoming board meetings. The next board meeting is Wednesday, October 11th, and due to the generosity of Jennifer Perlquist, We'll get to see how dug up her site is because she's hosting the meeting at Basketball House and Gardens. We will return here for our December 6th meeting. If there's nothing else, I would ask Kevin and Meg to adjourn the meeting and then ask the board members to come up here for a photo.
Yes, thank you, everyone. The meeting is adjourned and let's gather for this historic photo over here. Thank you and have a wonderful summer, everyone. See you in the fall at basketball.
Come on up. How are we going to position ourselves?